Hey everyone, Forrest here. It's been a while since my last video, and I figured I'd go ahead and give you guys a brief update on what's going on. We are in the process of trying to get our water system dialed in, and we had the cistern put in last fall, and we did that with the intent of, even if we didn't get it plumbed in last fall, it would put us a step ahead in regards to this spring, because there's road restrictions and the truck wouldn't necessarily be able to get up here with the heavy concrete cistern on it. So we had that installed last fall, and then dug the trench, and then everything snowed and froze, and so it got put on hold. So what I've been working on recently is finishing up the plumbing, doing some of the internal work. The Facebook post I put out a while back was one of, I changed it around a little bit. So originally I had 1.25 inch pipes coming out of the cistern, and that I wasn't completely happy with that. I wanted to be able to access the water quickly for my fire trailer. And since this, from the cistern down to the pump house, is gravity fed, and that's where the hydrant would be for to empty the cistern real fast into the fire trailer, I needed a bigger pipe. So I opted to go with a 2-inch pipe, and I changed some of the plumbing around in order to accommodate that. And why don't I give you an overview of what that is. So you may recall we had the big concrete cistern put in. Behind us is where the house is down the hill, and it's got the access hatch on the top, and then the plumbing stuff coming out. Now this concrete cistern only had 3 access ports, as in like plumbing access ports, down at base level. There's 2 on this end, they're both 1.25 inch, and then there's 1 down on the far end, which is also 1.25 inch. And originally I had the plumbing set up with a 1.25 inch valve and a common inlet outlet that just was 1 pipe going into the one on the right, and then that left port had its own, and it was the overflow. And so if the well pumps continued to pump even though the cistern was full, it would overflow through the pipe and down. So those 2 were not connected previously. But what I decided to do is because I wanted that 2-inch pipe, and you can see that big massive 2-inch pipe in that trench that goes down there. But so I have that coming up to a 2-inch valve, which goes to that T, which sizes down to 2 1.25 inches. So what I'm getting is basically 2.5 inches worth of water diameter of pipe going into a 2-inch. What a lot of people don't realize is that every fitting that is in a system, every time it goes through something, like the little nipples that come out and go into the pipes, and then it goes into the reducers, and then it goes through this fitting, and then it goes through the valve, and then it goes through that pipe, and then that fitting. Every one of those causes a little bit of loss in pressure. And the difference in height between down there and right at the end of that trench there is where the pump house is going to be. And so the difference in height between that and here is about 20, maybe 25 feet. And so we're only, if you were to calculate the amount of pressure that creates, you're only looking at, somewhere between 10 and 15 psi, depending on exactly how many feet it is. And I haven't bothered to figure it out exactly. But so even with that 2-inch pipe, reducing the friction loss, there's still going to be fitting losses and stuff like that. And so I wanted to reduce the amount of loss as much as possible. And so for that, I wanted that big pipe, and I wanted to basically bring those 2 1.25 inches up to the 2-inch, thereby reducing the friction loss as much as possible. So now when I need to, I can access down there at the bottom, I can access the hydrant to be able to fill up my fire trailer quickly in case we need to go do something. And then that pipe you see that's wrapping around the side, that actually is coming around to the other end. And this, you can see that down there, is the overflow. And so inside there is, this punches through the wall, and then it comes up to about an inch from the top of the inside of the cistern. And that way, when the water level's going up, assuming that pump doesn't go off, it'll just overflow out that pipe, down, out, and goes down that way. So it follows the trench going in that direction down the, and all of that I pretty carefully set up so that there is just a slight down slope all the way down and then around the corner and down the trench. That way, any water that goes down there is automatically it's ultimately gonna go down to the pump house. And the plan is, on the pump house, I'm gonna have a water gong. It's basically an alarm. Commercial structures use them all the time. In the event of the fire sprinklers going off in a commercial structure, these water gongs go off. And it's a rather loud, obnoxious gong that alerts people to, hey, the water's flowing, that means the sprinkler's flowing, and somebody needs to check on this. Well, in my circumstance, I want to buy that water gong so that if the cistern's overflowing, I know it. I don't want the pump running continuously, either burning the pump up over time or drying the well out whenever we get the well dug. Which, on a side note, we actually had a water witch come out, and right down there, not that you can necessarily see it. Let me see if I can zoom in. I don't know if you can see it down there. There's a little green tree right there, and it's got an orange flag on it. And just past that green tree is where the water witch had the primary desired spot for a well. And then there's another one just past that little mountain maple right there. So anyway, so we got a potential for a well. Not that that's on our to-do list immediately. We got other things to get in here. But anyhow, so yeah, so we've got all that stuff. So now where that leaves us is I've got all that plumbed in. I have not pressure tested it at all. Not that these fittings up here are going to have any massive pressure on it. It's literally just going to be the pressure of the water going in and going out, and then whatever head pressure is in 4 feet of water. So I'm not too concerned about the pressure test, but I refuse to bury it until I've actually put some water in there to make sure that I didn't screw something up or forget to tighten something or something of that nature. So the next step is to fill the cistern and then make sure it's not leaking. And if it's not leaking, then I go ahead and I bury those pipes, I bury the cistern, and we move forward. If it is leaking, then I fix something. Actually, no, that's not true. That's not the next step. The next step is I need to get down into the cistern. I changed the plumbing on the inside in order to accommodate the new sizing plan, and then but in walking around in there, I've tracked dirt in there. There's concrete dust. There's stuff from the manufacturer of the cistern. And so I need to get in there and sweep that up, clean it up. There's a little bit of water on the one end, and so I'll probably just bring the shop vac up and just suck everything up and clean it and make sure it's good. And then I'll fill it up. So, but yeah, I'm excited to have this part done and get moving forward, especially since now that we're in spring, there have actually already been a couple of wildfires up in this area. I mean, some of them are people lighting off fields because they'll burn the grasses to keep certain types of weeds down and or keep the thatch, whatever that would be called, under, at the base layer of the grass, because it all dries up in these huge fields, and so they'll just burn the field in order to reduce the wildfire possibilities. And ironically, we had a fairly dry winter and people lit their fields off and started a wildfire. But anyhow, so we're moving into wildfire season. We want to get those cisterns filled up. We want to be able to use it for not only the wildfire stuff, filling the fire trailer, but for our own personal use. And we just need to dial it in and get these last couple steps in. So I'm excited to be this close to having this particular project done. This is one of those projects that's going to be, we're going to be using it for the next however many decades we're here. And people beyond us are going to be using it. So I want to do it right. And so yeah, that's kind of where we're at, and I'm excited to have it close to being done. That being said, I apologize for not getting videos out sooner, but I've kind of moved away from that format, but I felt like this one kind of deserved it, especially with some of the idiosyncrasies. It'd be hard to describe these in just a Facebook post. So anyhow, hope you guys enjoyed and look forward to talking to people.